I'm getting everybody muted. So our request for today, and this is really good for me because it makes me think on the fly. Our request for today is yoga for gardening, which is quite appropriate, being that here in the here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are hip deep in kapha season, and kapha is earth and water, and kapha season is all about sprouting and taking root, but also getting lift coming up out of the earth. So today we are doing yoga for gardening. And I think, you know how much gardening I do, not. So I think yoga for gardening looks like shoulders, because the times that I do pull weeds, my shoulders are hunched over. So I'm thinking shoulders, I'm definitely thinking wrists and hands and fingers as they're gripped around a shovel or a rake, and certainly low back and hips come to mind when I think yoga for gardening. So with that in mind, let's start out in child's pose. And we'll start out like a little seed, coming onto your mat, coming down onto your knees and shins, sinking your hips back into your heels, and taking your forehead down to the floor. And if it doesn't come to the floor, maybe put a block or a blanket under your forehead. And then anything goes with your arms. You can take your arms forward, or you can wrap your arms around by your sides. Good. And while you're down here, take a breath and just scan your body with that inhale. You know, from the tip of your nose, move all the way down the bends and the flexions and the folds in your joints, come into your toes. Notice what, if anything, needs extra TLC today. And then exhale, slow. And you might do that 1 or 2 more times, using your breath like a little internal scope. Noticing where the tight spots are, sticky and icky spots. And then begin to deepen your inhalations and lengthen your exhalations. Come to a place with your breath that suits your physiology just right. The place where your in-breaths and your out-breaths mirror one another. Equalizing your breaths. And then at this point, take your arms forward if they're not already. And when you let go of your next breath, on the exhale, walk your arms over to the left. Let's start out with a side bend, waking up through the outer hip, the flank. This starts to give the quadratus lumborum a little attention as well. And then when you're ready, make your way back down the center line, and on an exhale, go to the right. And take your time. Nice. Come back to the midline. Breathing in, a good stretch through your arms, and breathing out, sinking your hips, lengthening your spine. Take one more breath in Balasana, child's pose. You might grip your fingertips into your sticky mat, lift your forearms. Find that stretch from the outer pinkies all the way to the outer hips. Excellent. And then bring yourself up onto your hands and your knees. Good. Let's do those wrist raises. Palms down. Externally rotate your arms slightly and then peel your wrist and palms up off the mat. Do this 10 times, keeping the four fingers, the base of your knuckles of your fingers down. Now your thumbs can rise up with your wrists. Keep arms straight. And when you've hit that about 10 times, then take your hands forward a full hand's length. Take a little bit of the heat off your wrist. Tuck your toes, inhale deeply, look forward. And then on the exhale, you're ready to lift the hips, lift the knees, coming into downward facing dog. Great. And 3 times, pull yourself forward to staff on the in breath and move back to dog pose on the out breath. Invite your breath to dictate the speed of this movement. Slow is always desirable. And after that third round, whenever you reach yourself back into downward dog, I'm going to have you step your right foot forward and bring your left knee down. We're going to start out low and slow. Left knee down, right foot forward. Bring your hands together in front of you. And then pull your palms and your fingers away like you've got a giant grapefruit in your hands. And then slowly spread your pinkies and your thumbs apart, bringing your palms back together. We'll do that 2 more times. Pull your palms away. Big stretch through your fingers, through the webbing of your fingers, and then come back together. And one more time. Pull away. And back together. And with your palms together, take your hands down towards your navel without losing the base of your palms, the connection there. You can take your fingers back and forth a little, like I'm doing, a little side to side, if that works for your joints. And then you're going to spin your fingers to your chest. Notice if one hand, one wrist feels a little more resistant than the other. Good. And then fingers come forward and point down. Now make a concerted effort to keep shoulders down as you lift your palms up towards your sternum. Keep your palms together. Fantastic. Now you're going to take your left hand forward. Right hand is going to come across your left fingers, the left fingers, and you're going to pull the fingers back slightly and then take your left arm up, straight arm up. Good, and just pull those fingers back to the degree that your body says that's enough. Great. Leave your left arm in the air. Bring your right hand down to your right thigh, right up at the head of the femur, and then let's side bend over to the right. Oh, yeah. Belly's drawn in. Good. Let's come back up to vertical. I want you to bring fingertips to the floor. Lift your back heel up, or back knee up rather, back knee up. Whoa, what's that about? Sorry, I don't know, I just had a weird thing on my screen. It was not the thumbs up. Lift your back knee up, and we're gonna make a quarter turn to the left, coming into the side lunges. So first get yourself established in wide-legged forward bend. And then fingertips stay to the floor, and we'll gently come into the left knee, left hip. And roll gently over into the right. So we'll do this 3 times total. Bringing a little awareness and attention into the hips. Assessing the knees, the ankles as well. On your third one, I'm going to have you stay over on the right. Come into your right knee, right hip. When you get there, don't rush. Great. Make a quarter turn to the right. So we're facing the top of the sticky mat again. Keep your left knee up, and you might take your left foot over to the left just a step. Right elbow to the right knee, left arm's gonna sweep up. Let's pause in side angle pose for just a moment and get a few things straight. So I want the belly firm. I want you to find your right sitting bone, and imagine that you could shift your right sitting bone forward, to the left rather, just shift it over to the left, just a fraction. And then that back leg is gonna stay super straight and powerful. Because what's gonna happen next is I'm gonna have you on the exhale, bring your left arm down, almost to your right ankle, fingertips to your right ankle, and then inhale, left arm up. And we're gonna do that 4 more times for a total of 5. Exhale, left arm down. And inhale, left arm up. Now the lower body's gotta stay firm. I don't want your butt swinging back when you bring your arm down. So keep that right sitting bone shifting to the left. So this movement is all in the ribs. It's all in the ribs and the upper chest, upper body. That looks great. Good. And on the 5th one, we'll move up into Parsva Konasana, side angle pose. And then down you go, fingertips to the floor, step back to downward facing dog. Excellent. Good, let's come forward to staff. And either on or off your knees, bring yourself all the way down to the mat. Okay, we're gonna do a little variation on this shoulder stretch, this pectoralis stretch. Typically, when this is taught, and I do this too, I have you take your arm let's start with the left arm directly out to the left, and we roll ourselves over. But this time, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. Take your left arm out to the left, palm down, and then here's the change. I want you to come up onto your fingertips, and then bend your left elbow about 15 or 20 degrees. Okay, so a 90-degree bend would be coming into cactus, right? So just a little less than 45 degrees. So fingertips to the floor. I want your elbow up, and I want your arm up. With this slight bend of the elbow, now you can roll your left shoulder back, like manipulate that left shoulder, roll it back, get a sense of your left shoulder blade really gliding down your back, and then we'll push into the right hand and roll ourselves over. Now, by keeping the left arm up off the floor, we don't roll so far as we might normally. So be gentle on yourself, just go a little ways, and then I want you to pause, reassess your left shoulder, roll it back, get that left shoulder blade down your back a little more, Good, so you're still up on your fingertips. Arm and elbow are still elevated. Your head's up off the floor. So this is a much more active version of that pectoralis stretch that we know and love from our deep stretch yin classes. Let's take a couple more breaths. Check that left shoulder again. Roll it back one more time if you need to. Bring yourself onto the mat, belly down, woo-wee, ribs down. Okay, now we're gonna do the other side. Take your right arm straight out, palm down, and then come up onto your fingertips. Bend your elbow about 15-20 degrees. And then keeping the arm up, look to your right shoulder and see it roll back. Imagine that the tip of your right shoulder blade nestling itself in between a couple of your back ribs, and then you can start to roll to your right. And don't go too far. The effort here is to once again look at that right shoulder and notice how tempting it is. I mean, the shoulder just wants to dip forward. So you gotta manipulate it back again, just with your intelligence. Yeah, this looks great. Good, 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 good. So the head is up and I just turn and look to the left. Good, see if you can rock that right shoulder back a little bit more. Nice way to counter all the hunching and schlumping when you're sitting on a milk crate, hunkered over a bed of weeds. All right, let's take one more breath. Rock that shoulder back. Oh, good. And then bring yourself onto your belly. Now, from the belly, bring your fingertips out onto the floor on either side of your mat with your elbows bent, almost like a gecko, right? And then from here, same thing. Before we peel up, I want you to roll your shoulders back, grab the tips of your shoulder blades as though you could, grab them between a couple of ribs and hold them there, and then peel up, head, chest. Go ahead and press into your fingertips, lift yourself up. A little bend to the elbows gets my vote, so you can keep drawing those shoulder blades, the bottom tips, the apex of the shoulder blades, down, down, down. And come on down. Ooh la la. Bring your hands under your shoulders so that you can lift up onto your hands and your knees. And let's pause there for thread the needle. Just with the right arm, take your right arm onto the floor between your left hand and left knee. Come on down to your right shoulder, right side of your head. Anything goes with your left arm. You can sweep it behind your back. You can inch your left fingertips forward and grab the top edge of your sticky mat for some leverage, or just keep your left hand under your, on the floor next to your chin. Great. Wherever your left hand is, position it in front of your chin and press into the floor with your left hand so you can withdraw your right arm and come to hands and knees. Roll your shoulders back a couple times, maybe a little cat-cow or some wiggling of the hips, wagging of the tail, and then make your way into downward dog. We'll do the other side here in about 20 minutes. Just kidding. All righty. So from downward dog, let's take the left foot forward and bring your right knee down. And once you get situated, you can bring your hands to your left knee, lift yourself up, bring your palms together, a soft clasp to your fingers, and we'll make some figure eights. One of my favorite hand, finger, wrist warm-ups. Go in the other direction. This comes from the Mukunda Styles lineage of yoga therapy. I don't remember what he called it though. Anyway. And then change the interlace of your fingers, please. And we'll do this again, figure eights. I think he just called it structural yoga therapy. I don't know. And go the other direction. Great, and then we'll pause. I want you to take your right hand forward, bring your left palm to the fingers, and then you're going to press the right palm forward, forward, forward as you gently pull your fingers back, and then right arm goes up. If you can move your thumb around, your right thumb, try to move your thumb away from your fingers, get a little added stretch through the webbing between the right thumb and the index finger. Leave your right arm up, bring your left hand to your left thigh, right up at the head of the femur, and then we're going to side bend over to the left. Nice. And let's come back up. Fingertips to the floor. Pick your right knee up, tuck your right toes under, and you're going to make a quarter turn to the right, finding first the wide-legged forward bend, the Padottanasana, and take a beat there. You know, see that your heels are equal distance from the back of your sticky mat. Good, and then when you're ready, 3 lateral lunges. We'll move into the right knee, right hip first. And then glide through the center, move into the left knee, left hip. Now, I like to keep my feet down, all 4 corners of the feet down. That addresses more of the inner thighs. For these next two rounds, if you want to spin the straight leg heel up, the toes of the straight leg up, kind of pivoting on your heels, go for it and try that. See how that feels in your body. That is certainly going to address more of the hamstrings. Good. One more round, left knee, right knee. And then come into your left knee after your 3rd round, and let's pause. Good. Great, and then you're gonna spin your left toes forward and your right heels down. Bring your left elbow to your right knee, and we're going to come into Parshva Konasana, left elbow to left knee, sorry. We're going to come into Parshva Konasana, side angle pose, bringing the right arm straight up. So again, we're going to pause here for a moment and just check in with the status. This is how we're going to really strengthen the low body and keep it stable. I want the belly firm, and I want the left sitting bone now to shift to the right, like as though you could bring it to the right just a quarter of an inch. And that'll make a little shift in your pelvis as well when you do that. Right leg is like, boom, totally fired up. And then here we go 5 times on the exhale. Right arm floats down. Maybe the fingertips tap the inside of your left shin or ankle. Inhale, right arm up. And 4 more times on your own. Now remember, the key is we're not going to swing the hips back, because we don't want to swing the left knee to and fro either. This movement really is just in the wrapping action of the ribs. Excellent. Looks great. And when you get to round 5, just bring that right arm up one more time. We'll all meet there. Ooh, 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 ooh. Nice. Good, I feel it. Take your head back a little, brother. Excellent. And then right fingertips to the floor. Great. And then from here, we're going to step back to downward dog. Great. Come forward to staff. And slowly bring yourself all the way down to the floor, on or off your knees, your call. I want you to bring your hands behind your back and clasp your fingers together. And then when you inhale, come on up into this version of locust pose. Lift your feet, knees, head, arms, head, chest. Up, 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 up. Good. Pull your knuckles back. Great. Change the interlace of your fingers. And here we go. Keep rolling. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Good. And exhale, come on down. Just release your hands, relax your arms, turn your head to one side. And turn your head to the other side. And settle your forehead to the floor. And then bring your left forearm across the top of your sticky mat. And draw it underneath your chest, so your forearm is about underneath your collarbones. I'm going to have you kick your right heel up behind you for half frog pose. Draw your right knee in towards your left knee, so your knee's not way out to the side. Reach back with your right hand and grab a hold of maybe your pant leg or your ankle, maybe get the top of your foot. And once you get a hold of whatever you're going to get a hold of today, then I want you to turn your chest forward, bring your collarbones forward, look out beyond the top of your sticky mat, and with your right hand, gently draw that right heel down just to the outside of your right buttock. All right, let go of your right foot. Bring your right forearm across the front of your sticky mat. Kick your left heel up. Bring your left knee in towards the midline. Reach back with your left hand and get a hold. Foot, ankle, pant leg. And then once again, turn and look forward. Terrific. Slowly release your left foot. A nice way to open up the hip flexors. And now I'm going to have you come into bow pose. So kick both heels up towards your bum. Reach back, grab your feet or your ankles. And when you're ready, use your legs to fire this pose up. Kick up and kick back. And let that be the action that lifts your head and chest up off the mat. Good. Very nice. Good. Kick up, kick up, kick up. And down you go. Good. Release your feet and just pause for a moment in this supine, prone rather, pardon me, this prone position. Great. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders and bring yourself to your hands and your knees. We will do thread the needle now with the left arm. So if you need to pause on hands and knees for just a beat or two and let your spine unwind and kind of reorganize itself after that deep back bend, do it. Yes. And then we'll take the left arm onto the floor between the right hand and right knee. Very nice. Wherever your right hand went, bring it back to the mat in front of your chin and slowly lift yourself up onto hands and knees. Let's take a beat and rock into child's pose for just a moment. Dropping back. Returning to seed form before we sprout up once more. And bring yourself forward to your hands and your knees. Take your hands forward, one hand's length, and then downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Really nice. Okay, you can do this from downward dog, or you can drop back to hands and knees either way, but I want you to take your right leg up and then roll the hip back, bend the knee, and let's open up those hip flexors one more time. Level your hips and re-extend your right leg, and then you'll step your right foot forward to your right hand. Spin your left heel down. I want you to pull yourself up into Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. And then at this point, take your right arm straight up, pat yourself on the back, bending your right elbow. Bring your left hand to your right elbow. And then you're going to start to arc your spine over to the left. Arc back over that strong left leg. All the while with your left fingertips gently coaxing your right arm slightly back and hugging your right arm in towards your right ear. Great. Release your left hand. Return to Warrior Two, both arms straight out. Woo-wee. Okay, bring your forearms together. And we're going to pause here and set this up as well. So lower body, right knee moving to the right, but your upper body, your trunk is turned to the left. Forearms together. I want you to bring your right elbow under your left for eagle pose, Garudasana in the arms. Keep that lower body static. Keep gently nudging that right knee to the right. Encourage that back leg to be strong, stronger than you possibly think it can be. And then with your arms, line up your elbows with your shoulders and press your forearms forward. Good. Upper body turning to the left, right knee to the right. Take one more breath. Now listen as you inhale, unwrap your arms, take your arms up, straighten your right leg. Sweet Jesus, that feels good. Square your toes. And then here we're ready for a forward bend. Fingertips to the floor, wide-legged forward bend, Prasarita Padottanasana. While we're here, I believe we did this last week when we had a block. While we're here, we're going to come into this version of thread the needle, but in a standing shape. Take your left fingertips forward, stretch your left arm long, fingertips off the mat. Right arm crisscrosses in front of the legs and grabs a hold of the outside of your left knee, shin, maybe ankle. but I want your right hand to get a grip somewhere. Good, and then a little bend to your right elbow, look underneath your left armpit. And then one more instruction, take your hips a skosh to the right. Yeah, as you spin your ribs to the left, spin your sternum to the left, take your gaze to the left, your hips go a little to the right. One more breath. Ooh la la. Release your right hand, stretch your right arm out next to your left arm as though you're in a wide-legged downward dog. Walk your hands onto your sticky mat. Come up onto your fingertips. Spin your right heel in. Spin your left heel in. Place your hands to your knees and lift your chest up, coming into temple pose or goddess pose. Inhale. As you exhale, dip your right shoulder down, look to the left. Breathe in, come back up to center. And then as you breathe out, dip your left shoulder down. Now, I like to spin my left hand just to the inside of my left knee. Gives me a little more traction. And let's do that one more time. Come back to center as you breathe in. Find some space between the base of your sternum and your pelvis, your pubic bone, and then dip right shoulder down. And one more time to the other side. Good, return to center. You're going to straighten your legs. At the same time, spin your heels out so that you can bring your fingertips to the floor. Once more in wide-legged forward bend. Walk yourself a quarter turn to the right. Step back to downward dog. Okay, now, in downward dog, I want you to walk your feet forward one step. Just shorten your dog by a step. Okay. Now, next action. Bring all your attention into your left arm, and I want you to really plug that left upper arm bone into the shoulder socket. Strong and steady in your left arm, come up onto your right fingertips. And if you feel balanced today, sweep your right hand over to the outside of your left shin. And here we are again in that thread the needle action, but in downward dog. Left arm is super strong, shoulder stable. Wonderful. Right hand to the floor, take your time. Beautiful. Good. Drop into child's pose. Let's take a beat. All right, let's finish this sequence up with the left side. Return to hands and knees and either stay there or come into downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. From there, we'll take three-legged dog. You'll float your left leg up, roll the hip back as you bend your knee. Big stretch through the hip flexors, which get so cramped up when we're gardening. Good, nice big open yawn through the belly and the pelvis. And level your hips, please. Re-extend your legs, step forward. Good, bring your back heel down. First things first, warrior two. Lift yourself up. Find your lower body stance, strong, belly firm. And then left arm comes up, then the elbow, pat yourself on the back, and then the right hand comes over, right fingertips to the left elbow, and begin to arc your spine over your back leg. Take your head back a little, find that plane where the ears and the shoulders and the hips are all in the same plane. Good. Okie dokie, here we go. Lift yourself up, warrior two. Arms extend. And now keeping that left knee moving to the left, bring your forearms together in front of your chest as you turn your sternum to the right. Eagle arms, left elbow under right, Garudasana arms. Keep shifting upper body slightly to the right, while the left knee keeps gently nudging to the left. How's your jaw doing? Release that mandible. Pop, pop. Okie dokie. Unwrap your arms, take your arms up, straighten your left leg. Woo! Turn your left toes in. Oh, and then fingertips to the floor, coming into Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward bend. And you know what's happening next. Right fingertips walk forward, stretching the right arm long, and then the left hand cruises across and takes a hold of the outside of the right shin. Pin those femurs back and draw your hips slightly to the left while bending your left elbow and looking underneath your right armpit. Oh my gosh, you all look great. Maxine, that's fabulous. Good. Yes, Colorado representing strong. Beautiful. Excellent mobility in the thoracic spine, Sonia. Brother, I love it. It's a deep forward bend. Fantastic. All right. Let go. Whee! Bring your left fingertips to the floor and reach both arms long as you continue to pin those femur bones back. Walk your hands onto your sticky mat. Come up onto your fingertips. Bring your heels in one step. At this point, I'm going to have you bring your forearms to the inside of your knees. I want your chest and upper body to be parallel to the floor. And then I want you to squeeze your knees into your arms with all you've got, but resist with your arms. So this becomes a real adductor, adductor experience. Squeeze in and resist. Squeeze and resist. Squeeze and resist. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Let's go one more breath. Squeeze and resist. Fingertips to the floor. Spin your heels out. And then we're ready to safely take a quarter turn to the right and step back to downward facing dog. The last dog du jour. Last garden dog. Okay, so think back to the beginning of the class when we were prone on our bellies and we were doing that pectoralis stretch, and I invited you to visualize your shoulder blade and the bottom tip of your shoulder blade kind of gently poking itself in between two of your back ribs. So I want you to get really strong in your right arm, really stable in your right shoulder. Visualize your right shoulder blade drawing in between a couple of ribs. And from that place of steadiness and strength, come up onto your left fingertips. Walk your feet in one step. I didn't say that part. Shorten up your dog, just a step. And then you're going to sweep your left hand over to the outside of your right shin, coming into the thread the needle. The mechanics of thread the needle, but in downward dog. Fantastic. That's awesome. Good. Take your hips a little to the left. Nice adjustment. I love it. Good. And spin. Right arm is straight and strong. Look under that right arm. Nice. And then left hand. Take your time. Left hand to the floor. My goodness. Beautiful. Come back into child's pose. Let's get out of the shoulders for just a moment. Great. Come back to your hands and your knees. I'm going to have you take a seat on your bum. So, two choices. Bring your feet out in front of you and come into Sukhasana, right? So cross-legged pose, but the feet are lined up with the knees. So you can bring your right shin in front of your left shin. And if that seems like a real cakewalk for you, then stack your shins coming into fire log pose. But here's the deal. The shins have to be one on top of the other, and they've got to be parallel to the top edge of your sticky mat. None of this bendy through the knees, right? So stack the shins or one right in front of the other. Shins on top or shins one right behind the other. Fingertips to the floor on either side of your hips. Lift yourself tall on the in-breath. And when you exhale, walk your hands forward and come on down and do a forward bend. Finding a bit of stretch through the deeper muscles in the posterior pelvis, the glutes down into the piriformis. But walk your hands back towards your knees and rock back onto your sitting bones very gently and change the cross of your legs. Unpack. Now you're going to bring the left shin either directly in front of the right shin or on top. But remember the caveat, the feet and the knees need to line up wherever you go. And then reestablish yourself on your sitting bones through those tubers, the ischial tuberosities. Breathe in to lift your spine. And then slowly come forward as you exhale, walking your hands out in front of you, coming into a forward bend, a seated forward bend. Great. And just as we pause here, you just be in your body and notice, observe, how does this side feel in comparison with the previous side? What's different? What's similar? Any surprises? I do so appreciate the instructors and the styles of yoga, which emphasize bringing the pose to meet you rather than trying to contort you into a pose. So kind of flirting around the edges of a shape with enough mindfulness and awareness to be able to ask, wow, what's happening here? Not necessarily, why is that happening? But, that's happening and I need to be aware of that. This is what it feels like to be in my body at this age, on this day, after a weekend of gardening. And slowly lift yourself up. And I'm just going to have you pull your knees up and bring your feet to the floor. Wrap your left shin, your left forearm, wrap your left forearm around the front of your shin to the front of your knees. Bring your right fingertips to the floor behind you, and just a little lift in the spine and a very gentle twist to the right. We'll go into a deeper twist in a moment when we come down onto our backs. And then we'll go to the other side. When you bring your right forearm around front and your left fingertips to the floor behind you, I want to encourage you one more time as you gently turn to the left to find the tip of that left shoulder blade. And once again, just see if you can't coax it in between a couple of ribs back there. Just more of a visual than anything else. Great. Then unwind your spine, come back to center. And before we hit our backs, I'll have you do one round of tabletop, or reverse tabletop rather. Bring your hands behind your back. And as you all know, I'm not a real stickler for which direction your fingers go. I just want your wrists to feel safe. Then drop into the four corners of your feet and lift your hips up. Keep looking beyond your knees. And then when and if you feel comfortable with it, you can take your head back and bring your eyes to your ceiling or to the sky. Let's take one more breath. Nice. And come on down to your bum. Very kindly roll yourself onto your back. Bring your right knee into your chest. And with your right hand cupping your right knee, you can bring your left hand down to the floor, maybe to the top of your left thigh. I want you to just make some circles with your right hand on your right knee. Make some circles like you're using that right femur bone to circling the thigh bone in the hip socket, and then circle the other way. Yeah, excellent. That's it, Maxine. Great. Beautiful. Just, you can go as slow or as quick as you like, and just notice any popping, any any noises, how it feels. Good. And then bring yourself back into a neutral shape with your knee to your chest, and take your knee with your left hand, and we'll bring your right knee across the body to the left. Take your right arm out to the right and come into a twist. And then you can take this twist wherever you'd like to take it. So, I mean, you can just like drop into a gentle rotation that feels good in your spine. You might tuck your right toes behind your left thigh, or you might consider bending your left knee and kicking your left foot up behind you. So you could reach down with your right hand and grab a hold of the foot. Now, if you go there, let me just invite you to take the outside edge of that foot. Exactly, yeah. So now we can once again revisit that visual of bringing the tip of the shoulder blade deeper into the ribs and opening up across the front of the right chest, the pectoralis muscles, the anterior deltoid. If you've got your bottom foot, let go and return to your back and keep your right knee into your chest. Let's just pause there for another few breaths. Good. And then we'll change legs. Right leg goes down, left knee comes in. And you can start stirring the pot with that left thigh bone. And go a few times in one direction and the other direction. And again, dropping into your body, listening. Bringing attention and intention to what your body's telling you about the state of affairs on this day. And then you will take your left arm out to the left, and with your right hand to your left knee, bring yourself into a twist. And experimenting on this side. What feels appropriate, what feels good, maybe bending the bottom knee and grabbing a hold of your right foot, that would be your bottom foot, with your left hand. If you choose to do this practice again later in the week or sometime down the road and you have props available, I really like putting a block underneath the front bent knee. That's just a preference of mine. In my personal practice, you might explore it on your own and see how that feels, or a bolster underneath that left knee. Good. And then release your bottom foot if you have it. Return onto your back. Bring your left knee into your chest once again. And then bring your right knee in as well. And wrapping your hands around your shins or over the knees, and then anything goes. You want to rock from side to side, great. You want to take your hands to your feet and stretch your legs up over your head, that's great. Excellent. And then you'll bring your feet down to the floor. Good. Stretch your legs down onto the mat. And if it feels better on your low back to keep your knees bent, then do so. Just drop your knees against one another. If you've got access to a blanket to roll up or a bolster underneath your knees, I always think that feels really good on my low back when my low back is cranky. Great. And then when you find yourself into a comfortable shape, we're going to take about a 5-minute Shavasana. If you practice this later in the week or another time, please go longer. Resume that steady breath that you established at the beginning of your practice. If it disappeared anywhere along the way, bring it back. And start to slow down that exhale. Let's start by adding on 2 beats for a couple of breaths, and then maybe another 2 beats until you can effortlessly bring that exhalation to become twice as long as the inhalation. If your time and your schedule permits that you stay in Shavasana for another 5 or 10 minutes, I strongly encourage that. Otherwise, I will have you wiggle your fingers and toes. Release the hold on your breath, the counting, the manipulation, and let your breath drop into its own free rhythm. You can bring your arms either out to the side or stretch them over your head, whatever shape or direction feels good. And then bending each knee and bringing yourself upright, rolling to one side and rising up slowly. The Gayatri mantra to welcome the light, the longer days, the brighter days of summer that are just around the corner. Palms together. We'll just sing it through one time. And take a breath in. Om Bhurrbhuva Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Na Prachodayat. And bring the base of your thumbs to your forehead. For ease in our minds, as we move into the week ahead, slide fingertips down to your lips. Ease in our breath and in our expression. And finally, bring hands to your heart. May we have ease in our spirits. Thank you so much for joining me and the online community. This was great. It was great fun for me. Thanks for playing along with the request. And if you have others, don't hesitate to email. But that was fun. Thanks for the request, Sonia. Hope your back feels all right. Bye, everybody. Bye, Maxine. See you, Bruce, Cindy, Kathy, Sophie, Asmo. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Lisa.
See you, Maxine. You're welcome.